To continue, I want to introduce to you Mr. Roger, Account Payable Manager of Southern Veterinary Partners, a valued client to Innovature BPO to share with you his view on the topic. So hi, Roger. Welcome to our webinar.
Thank you. Appreciate being here on today. Enjoying it so far.
Perfect. So Roger, can you let us know from your experience, what are the challenges you will face in your account payable department?
Sure. So there's three main challenges that we face when dealing with accounts payable, especially for our department at the volume that we deal with. One being payment delays, another being communication gaps, and the other being timely invoice receipt. So when I say payment delays, I'm mostly speaking to the inconsistencies of the postal service. So when we mail out checks, there's no telling when it can arrive at the vendor, and we lose all control of that payment once it's out of our doors. So one thing we did to alleviate that challenge was to orchestrate a campaign to convert as many clients as possible to a type or a form of electronic payment so we could have more control over payment delays. Second being communication gaps, and this is with both our internal and our external customers. So a lot of times they don't know who to reach out to. They don't know where to go to get answers to their invoicing concerns. So we attack this in two ways. We created a centralized avenue for communicating with our customers. We gave them a central email to reach out to where our entire team could respond in a timely manner. And we also participate in periodic discussions with our internal team, just letting them know what the AP process is and how they fit into that process so we can help them better communicate with us and their vendors. And lastly, timely invoice receipt. A lot of times, same thing with the U.S. Postal Service. It gets lost in the mail. It gets sent to the wrong person. That person never forwards it to us. So one of the ways we combated that was we would encourage and facilitate direct invoicing to our AP team. So instead of it going to our facilities, we would have the vendor send it directly to us. And we also encourage electronic submission. So instead of mailing it to us, where once again, we lose control of the mail system, we encourage them to email it to us or send it in some sort of electronic form. So one, it's easier to get and to track, and if misplaced, it's easier to get another copy of it because it's in electronic form.
So with all of those challenges, what do you think were the most beneficial decision that actually improve your AP processes and operation?
Once again, three main things: appropriate staffing, reasonable automation, and then establishing some standard operating procedures. So we were able to develop some metrics based on volume of invoices, our real estate portfolio. So we could develop a metric to know when a new teammate was needed. So we know once we reached a certain level of invoicing and a certain level of hospitals on our behalf, we knew it was about time to add a new teammate. So we avoided our current team getting overwhelmed, and we tried to preemptively add staff in anticipation of needing that based on volume. Reasonable automation, we use invoicing programs that have artificial intelligence to aid in invoice review and coding. So essentially the program we use for invoicing learns how invoices look, learns where they're coded based on our coding practices, and that sort of aided in the speed of which that we can code and process invoices. And lastly, we established some standard operating procedures around certain processes like coding invoices, reviewing invoices, adding new vendors, and troubleshooting when there were payment issues. Like one of the issues already discussed was perhaps getting faulty statements and vendors jumping into our system that shouldn't be there and paying the wrong places. That's why we created some standard operating procedures around reviewing invoices and even adding new vendors and troubleshooting when there are issues to make sure we're doing a reasonable effort to make sure we're doing it in a timely manner and an appropriate manner to protect our business partners.
Thank you, Roger. So another question I would really like to ask you. So how did Innovature Team help you to overcome those challenges?
They really helped us mainly with non-business hour workflows. So we have a goal of creating a 24-hour processing based on the two different time zones that we're in. So essentially, each team creates work for the opposing team during their respective downtime. So While Innovature is processing invoices during our downtime, when we come in the morning, we now have all those invoices to review. We review them and create more, and then we process more invoices and send them into our system so that when Innovature comes in their start time, they now have a new bucket of invoices. So like I said, in our minds, we're hoping to create 24 hours of processing where work is always being done on our behalf, either by our onshore team or by our offshore team. And the same thing, helping us with staffing. They have readily available pre-trained personnel. Because we have meetings with them about the ebbs and flows of our business, they are already preemptively training and staffing in anticipation of the needs that we're going to have from them. And that's always great. We don't have to reach out and hire more people and train more people. They already have them in their system and working in preemptive strategy for our staffing needs. And lastly, in that vein, they alleviate our need for extensive staffing levels. We would probably need 10 to 15 more individuals just to handle processing if we did not have Innovature. And because of that, they have relieved our team from doing processing and other tasks so they can focus on reporting and things of that nature. That's very important to our team and to our business structure. We're a very data-driven company. So Innovature relieves our need to do processing so we can dive into our data and predict trends and things of that nature.
It's very good to hear that from you, and I hope that our team can further support you in the time to come, in the future time. So I actually just have another question for you. What is the advice that you would give to a company that is willing to outsource their AP processes?
Yeah, so first and foremost, as we mentioned before, you need to operate as if they are a part of your team. We involve Innovature in our meetings, in our forecasting, in our cross-training. They not only help us with invoicing and AP, they also have began to help our accounting department and our business development department. And that sort of lets them know how they fit into the whole of our business and gives them a better understanding of how they fit into our business goals and missions. So I would fully encourage them to fully involve Innovature and not to treat them as a third party, but to treat them as just another arm of your team. Secondly, I would suggest creating a knowledge bank and some training material for your outsourcing team, and then create and update those documents for standard knowledge, like how do we code things, how do we troubleshoot, providing them standard operating procedures on processing and things of that nature. So when they are preemptively staffing and training, they don't have to come back to you. They have a knowledge bank they can go to on a 24-hour basis with training material so they can easily and seamlessly incorporate new staff on their team. And lastly, I would develop some sort of seamless routine communication with your outsourcing team. I would encourage meeting on a routine basis to discuss efficiency and effectiveness of the workflow, discuss best practices, discuss any issues that have come up and how we can tackle them, and then also create ways to communicate in real time. We have an internal messaging system, so if they're struggling with something during our normal work hours, they can shoot a message to us quickly and we can respond. They don't have to wait for a 24-hour cycle for us to get back. And to create some sort of ongoing basis where they can go to a document, type in questions, then we come in, we can respond to those questions, and we can have a constant back and forth. So we're always continuously improving our processes and building camaraderie between the two teams.